They say the Torah is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it. But what happens when the branches of that tree seem to reach in so many different directions, you feel like you're losing your grip? That thought, scribbled in my journal just hours before. Well, before everything changed. It's funny, I was preoccupied with the passage, referencing Proverbs 3:18, but the fragment of a sentence that has stayed in my head since I was hit by that car is something else, written on the wall of the Temple of Karnak in Egypt. More than 3,000 years ago, man, know thyself, and you are going to know the gods. My name is David Rosenberg. Until a few months ago, I was just your typical reform rabbi in New York City. 50 years old, a bit of a paunch starting to show, more salt than pepper in my beard these days. My life revolved around the usual, leading services at Temple Beth Shalom, counseling congregants, officiating at weddings and bar mitzvahs. You know, the rabbi stuff. I loved my work, I truly did. But lately, a certain restlessness had been creeping in. It wasn't a midlife crisis, not exactly. It was more of a spiritual itch. I was grappling with the big questions, the ones that keep rabbis up at night. The changing face of Judaism in the 21st century, the rise of interfaith marriage, the younger generation drifting away from tradition. It all felt like a puzzle I couldn't quite solve. And, to be honest, a growing disconnect between what I preached and what I felt in my own heart. I believed in the power of tradition, the beauty of our rituals, but I also saw the beauty in other faiths, the genuine connection to the divine that existed outside the walls of our synagogue. It was a conflict I was trying to reconcile, a tightrope I was walking. The interfaith issue was particularly thorny. More and more of my young congregants were falling in love with people outside the faith. And who was I to tell them their love was somehow less valid, less holy? But at the same time, I worried about the future of Judaism, about the dilution of our traditions. It was a constant push and pull, a source of endless debate within the community and within my own soul. I was returning from an interfaith conference, actually. A weekend spent discussing these very issues with Christian pastors, Muslim imams, Buddhist monks, trying to find common ground, to build bridges. My head was buzzing with ideas, with arguments, with a strange mixture of hope and anxiety. I remember driving home, the city lights blurring into a kaleidoscope of color. I was thinking about Sarah, my daughter, who was dating a wonderful young man, a Catholic. I loved Michael, I really did. He was kind, intelligent, respectful. But the thought of a future where my grandchildren might not be raised Jewish, it stung. It's a primal thing, you know, this desire to pass on your heritage, your beliefs, your identity. It's a very human conflict. That's the last clear memory I have before the impact. A screech of tires, a blinding flash of headlights, and then nothing. Or rather, not nothing. Something else entirely. The doctors told me later that I was clinically dead for almost 7 minutes. 7 minutes. An eternity in the world of near-death experiences. They called it a miracle that I came back. I call it a revelation. I found myself floating, not in a physical sense, but more like drifting. There was no pain, no fear, just an overwhelming sense of peace. It was like being submerged in warm water, weightless and free. I could see my body below, lying broken and twisted in the wreckage of the car. Paramedics swarming around, their faces etched with concern. It was strangely detached. I felt no connection to that shattered form, no sense of urgency. I was elsewhere. Then, the light. It wasn't a blinding light, like you hear in some stories. It was more like a radiance. A gentle, golden glow that emanated from everywhere and nowhere at once. And within that light, I felt a presence of such profound love, such overwhelming compassion that I wept, not tears of sadness, but tears of pure, unadulterated joy. And then, I was inside a synagogue. But not my synagogue. It was different, more ancient, somehow. The walls were made of stone, worn smooth by time. Sunlight streamed through arched windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. And at the front, standing near the bima, was him. I knew it was him, even though I'd never seen him before. Not in this way. He was dressed in simple robes, his hair long and dark, his eyes filled with an infinite sadness and an infinite love. Jesus, Yeshua, standing in a synagogue. It was surreal. It was perfect. He didn't speak with words, not at first. It was more like a transmission of understanding, a direct knowing that bypassed language and went straight to the heart. He showed me things, visions, not of heaven or hell, not of judgment or damnation, but of people. People of all faiths, all backgrounds, all walks of life, praying, meditating, seeking connection with the divine. And he showed me the common thread that ran through all of them, the thread of love, the thread of compassion, the thread of a yearning for something greater than themselves. He showed me the beauty of a Muslim family breaking their fast during Ramadan, the serenity of a Buddhist monk chanting his mantras, the fervor of a Pentecostal preacher delivering his sermon. And he showed me the shared humanity, the shared desire for meaning, for purpose, for connection with the source of all creation. He took my hand. I felt the warmth of his touch, even though I had no physical body, and led me to a window. We looked out, not onto a physical landscape, but onto a spiritual one. I saw the world, not as a collection of separate nations and religions, but as a tapestry woven with countless threads of different colors and textures. Each thread was unique, beautiful in its own way, but they were all interconnected, all part of the same larger design. Then he spoke. His voice was gentle yet powerful, like the sound of wind chimes in a summer breeze, yet also like the roar of the ocean. He said, "David, you have been searching for a way to bridge the divides, to reconcile the differences. But the answer is not to erase the differences, but to embrace them. The answer is not to find one truth, but to recognize the truth that exists in all paths." He continued, "The Torah teaches you, love your neighbor as yourself. But who is your neighbor? David? Is it only the one who shares your beliefs, your traditions, your bloodline? Or is it every soul who seeks the light, every heart that yearns for connection with the divine?" The message wasn't delivered as a rebuke, but as a gentle, loving reminder, a clarification of something I already knew, deep down, but had been struggling to articulate, even to myself. He showed me images of conflict, of religious wars, of persecution and hatred carried out in the name of God. And he showed me the pain, the suffering, the brokenness that resulted from this narrow-mindedness, this inability to see the divine spark in every human being. He didn't condemn any particular faith or group. He simply showed me the consequences of division, of clinging to dogma at the expense of love. And that is when I realized, the message about the gods is not so much about them, it is about us. It is about seeing in others the same we hope they see in us. He then said, "The kingdom of God is not a place, David. It is a state of being. It is a way of living. It is the realization that we are all connected, all part of the same divine tapestry. It is the practice of love, of compassion, of forgiveness. It is the building of bridges, not walls." He smiled, a smile that radiated warmth and understanding. "Go back, David. Go back and share this message. Teach your people to embrace the differences, to celebrate the diversity, to find the common ground. Teach them that interfaith understanding is not a threat to their faith, but an enrichment of it. Teach them that love is the ultimate commandment, the foundation of all true religion." And then I was back, gasping for air, my body racked with pain, the smell of burning metal filling my nostrils. The paramedics were shouting, their faces a blur of concern. I was alive. I was back. But I was not the same. The 7 minutes I spent on the other side had changed me profoundly. The spiritual itch was gone, replaced by a sense of clarity, of purpose. The tightrope I had been walking had vanished, replaced by a solid path, illuminated by the light of understanding. The months that followed were a whirlwind of recovery, both physical and spiritual. I had a long way to go, but the memory of that encounter, the message I had received, sustained me. It gave me the strength to face the challenges, to overcome the doubts, to embrace the new path that had been revealed to me. When I returned to Temple Beth Shalom, I spoke about my experience, not about the accident, not about the medical details, but about the vision, the message, the transformation. I spoke about the need for interfaith dialogue, for understanding, for love. I spoke about the common threads that connect us all, regardless of our faith or background. Of course, not everyone understood. Some were skeptical, some were resistant, some were downright hostile. Change is never easy, especially when it comes to deeply held beliefs. But I persisted. I shared my story, I listened to their concerns, I offered my perspective. And slowly, gradually, things began to shift. We started holding interfaith events at the synagogue, inviting speakers from other faiths to share their traditions, their beliefs, their perspectives. We formed partnerships with local churches and mosques, working together on community projects, building bridges of understanding and cooperation. We created a new curriculum for our religious school, one that emphasized the shared values of all faiths, the importance of respect and tolerance. And Sarah? Well, she and Michael are still together, and they are happy. I've come to peace with their relationship, with the possibility that my grandchildren might not be raised Jewish, because I've learned that faith is not about labels, it's about love. It's about connection. It's about living a life of meaning and purpose. And that can be found in many different paths. I still study Torah. I still lead services. I still grapple with the big questions. But now, I do it with a new perspective, a new understanding. The message I received during those 7 minutes of death wasn't a rejection of my Judaism, but a deepening of it. It was a call to embrace a broader, more inclusive vision of faith, one that recognizes the divine spark in every human being. Before I tell you the details of the event that changed my life, write in the comments the city and country where you are watching from. I will read them all. And as you write, I want you to ask yourself, what are the threads that connect you to others, even those who seem different? What are the walls that you need to tear down in your own heart? What is the tapestry that you are a part of, and how can you contribute to its beauty and its wholeness? Because the kingdom of God, as I learned, is not a destination. It's a journey. And it's a journey we all take together. And, if you may, also share this message so that others may be touched by it.